My name is Zach Seidel. I'm Deputy Mayor Communications for Mayor Bass. First, we're going to hear from Mayor Bass. Then we will hear from LAFD Chief Kristen Crowley. After that, we'll hear from meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service of Los Angeles, Dr. Ariel Cohen. After that, we'll hear remarks in Spanish from firefighter David Ortiz. Following that, we will hear questions. We are also joined to assist with questions by the President of the Board of Public Works, Ariel Garcia, General Manager of Streets LA, Keith Mose, General Manager of Department of Transportation, Laura Rubio Cornejo, General Manager of the Department of Water and Power, Marty Adams, General Manager of the Information Technology Agency, Ted Ross, Metro Public Information Officer, Patrick Chandler, LASA Deputy Chief Programs Officer, Nathaniel Vergao, Carol Parks, who's General Manager of EMD, Assistant Chief Chow with LAPD, as well as Lourdes Castro Ramirez with the Mayor's Office of Housing Homelessness Solutions. And with that, I will give it to Mayor Bass.
Good morning, everyone. I first want to thank our first responders and our city crews who worked overnight yet again to respond to this historic rain. Images of heroic action from our firefighters continue to emerge, and I definitely want to thank Chief Crowley for her leadership in this storm and for all of the firefighters, first responders, city employees who have responded to this situation. Nearly 54,000 Angelenos have had their power restored by DWP, and I want to thank Marty Adams, the general manager. Crews since the start of the storm have been out to restore power. Just over 7,000 remain out, and I know our crews will continue to work diligently to bring the rest online. And I want to thank them for their work and for also the difficult situations that they always find themselves in, but especially in a crisis like this. Yesterday, the chief and I spent the day meeting Angelenos, seeing the damage throughout the city that we saw firsthand. We went to the Valley and Encino and Studio City with Councilwoman Rahman, where we saw backyards destroyed and cars swept down driveways. We then went to Baldwin Hills with Council President Pro Tem Harris Dawson and Councilwoman Hutt to talk to Angelenos there. And what was different about that situation was we were talking to renters who are particularly vulnerable because they're going to depend on the landowners to make sure that they have a place to stay during this emergency. Angelenos should know that even though the rain may ease up a bit today, this storm continues, and that means we still need Angelenos to take precautions and to stay informed during this time. I want to thank Angelenos for heeding this warning. As of this morning, there have been no fatalities due to this storm, and that would not have been possible without all of us standing together. I also want to say to Angelenos, please check on your neighbors. One of the experiences that the chief and I had out there was the way in the neighborhoods that were heavily impacted, we saw neighbors come out to make sure that people were okay. But those of you who might have neighbors that are elderly or ill, please check in on them. And also, if you have friends or family that are unhoused, please let us know. I will tell you that our shelters are full, so we're glad that the word has gotten out. But even though the rain, it looks like it might be stopping, or at least a little lighter, but we'll hear from the National Weather Service in a little bit. Angelenos, we still need to continue to take precautions and to stay informed. I especially want to thank the President, President Biden, Vice President Harris. President Biden called yesterday. Actually, it was by coincidence during our evening briefing. He called because he was concerned about what was happening in Los Angeles, and he offered his support. He told me to call if there's anything we need, and so I can assure Angelenos that call will be made today. Governor Newsom, I've invited him to come down to assist in the recovery effort. But I again want to tell Angelenos to remain safe and off the roads. Please stay informed. Please register for Notify LA. The city will be working around the clock to serve, and we will keep you informed as this storm continues. Let me now introduce Kristen Crowley, Chief, Los Angeles Fire Department.
Well, good morning, everyone. And as we enter into the third day of this significant storm, the Los Angeles City Emergency Operations Center remains at a level 2 activation to coordinate the all-city response. I am very proud of the manner in which our various city departments have come together under Mayor Bass and other city leaders' guidance to ensure that we always put the community's safety first. The city staff have worked diligently throughout the night to maintain city services and to address immediate needs issues. Between 6 to 12 inches of rain have fallen across the region. An atmospheric river system will continue to bring periods of rain with a chance of thunderstorms throughout the day. This rain will continue to cause hazardous road conditions and increase the chance of mudslides and flooding throughout the city. Now, as of last night, your city resources have responded to the following: 307 mudslides, 35 incidents of buildings requiring inspection due to mudslides and slope failures. 5 buildings have been red tagged and 7 buildings have been yellow tagged. Even as we may see the rains subside over the next few hours, the water-soaked hillsides will continue to pose a mudslide threat. As Mayor Bass and I have surveyed some of the worst slides yesterday, I was reminded of the pure force and magnitude with which a hillside can suddenly come down. Now again, avoid traveling in the hillside areas today. If you live in a hillside area, stay informed on the conditions and please follow any evacuation warnings or orders. The Latuna Canyon evacuation order remains in effect as we are concerned about potential mudslides below the land fire burn scar. For the most up-to-date information on evacuation orders and sites, please visit LAFD.org. Now, as we are all reminded of yesterday afternoon, when the LAFD successfully saved a victim who was swept away by the rapidly flowing LA River, the banks of the river are not, and I repeat, not the place to be during a storm. The LA River is full and will continue to flow with high intensity today. Please stay away from this area. Now, the LAFD responded to an increased number of incidents yesterday related to the storm, in addition to our typical 1,500 daily calls for service. We have continued to maintain an augmented resource deployment today, adding additional teams for swift water rescue, community response, urban search and rescue, hand crews, tractor companies, helicopter pilots, command staff, and dispatch to supplement the 1,000 firefighters already on duty to serve. Your LAFD firefighters and other first responders are well situated and pre-deployed to continue to mitigate all emergencies to provide life safety throughout the entire city. Now, as the storm continues to impact our city, do not let your guard down. We advise residents to exercise caution if they must venture out. So please stay away from moving water, slow down if you're driving, and be on the lookout always for downed power lines and trees. Now, as many residents of LA have already exercised, please continue to use 311 to report non-emergency problems. Since the storm began, my LA 311 has fielded over 3,000 non-emergency service calls. Now, these reports absolutely assist us in prioritizing the city resources right behind me from our Emergency Operations Center. So next, I'll provide you with an update on some of the efforts your city departments have been involved in to mitigate the effects of this storm. The Los Angeles Department of Water and Power, LADWP, has reported, and these are overnight numbers, approximately 9,273 customers were without power, while 26,310 have already had their power restored. Storms increase the likelihood of downed and damaged wires. Never approach or touch any wire that is down or dangling, and immediately report it by calling 911. Next up, the bureaus within the Department of Public Works have reported the following operations and calls for service. 257 fallen trees and branches they've responded to. There's 159 reports of potholes, which the street services will be working on to fill throughout the day. 875 catch basins and stormwater conveyance systems have been cleared. Again, I want to thank all of our LAFD firefighters, police officers, and other first responders, and every single city department that continues to work as a one city family to maintain the services to the residents and visitors of Los Angeles. And thank you, Mayor Bass and the Los Angeles City Council leadership and members for what you do and how you support us. And most of all, we want to thank the residents of Los Angeles for doing what you need to do to keep yourself safe. Now, as we look into the passing of this storm in the near future, the city's EOC will turn into the recovery phase. Damage assessments will be made, and all of the city departments will continue to coordinate efforts to address all service calls and mitigate all effects of this storm. And just remember, everybody, together we will make it through this storm, and we will return to a state of normalcy within our great city. So stay safe, stay informed, and take care of one another. Thank you, everyone. And next, I would like to introduce our meteorologist in charge of the National Weather Service, Dr. Ariel Cohen.
Thank you, Chief Crowley and Mayor Bass. This has truly been a historic storm for Los Angeles. We're talking about the third wettest two-day stretch since records started in the 1870s. And we've endured this and come through with no fatalities. This is a true testament to the partnership that we have amongst Angelenos to make sure that we're working between the National Weather Service, law enforcement. Here at the Emergency Operations Center, we've been eye to eye with our partners to make sure that we're getting the word out, keeping the mayor apprised, and making sure that all of the resources are available to you based on the rapidly changing weather conditions to keep you safe. And we're still going to be here making sure that the information is there to keep everyone safe. Now, our heartfelt sympathies go out to everyone who's been negatively impacted by these events. We know that many people have been displaced or have experienced significant loss, and we extend our heartfelt sympathy to everyone. This is not a time to let our guard down. At this point, we still have light to moderate rain ongoing across the greater LA area. And because the soils are so saturated, super saturated, in fact, with 6 to 12 inches of rain across the region, it will take very little additional rain to increase already flooded areas with more flooding, landslides, mudslides, and other debris flows. Everyone needs to be at a high state of readiness. Heed the evacuation orders if they come along. Over the next several hours, we'll have waves of this activity continue all the way through the mid to late afternoon hours. Could have some even heavier downpours come through this afternoon. A little bit of uncertainty in exactly how that evolves, but that could really bring about an increased risk for flash flooding and additional landslides. Do not let your guard down. We may be past the brunt of the most significant impacts, but there could still be some very significant impacts still to go. As we head into tonight, we're looking at the rain to generally taper off after we get to about 10 p.m. to midnight or so. Much of the showers will be decreasing in coverage and intensity across the LA basin and surrounding mountains and foothills. Now, tomorrow, things will be drying out overall. However, some of the latest model projections that we use to understand the atmosphere are suggesting an increased risk for a band of moderate to perhaps some heavier downpours moving through during the late afternoon and evening hours. Fast-moving activity wouldn't last anywhere long, but we need to stay on alert because that could increase the flooding risk once again, as well as the potential for landslides. Going beyond that period into the late week and weekend, it will be drying out at that point as we get behind this system, and we are in the wake of that system. But we're in an El Nino pattern. We look to have continued renewed chances for heavy rain and flooding, so everyone needs to continue to heed the forecasts and warnings very carefully, because those actions you take to avoid flooding could save your life. Thank you and stay safe.
Buenos días. Este es el tercer día de esta tormenta que ha impactado a nuestra ciudad. Aquí en el Centro de Operaciones de Emergencia se mantiene un nivel de coordinación 2. Estamos orgullosos de la manera como los diferentes departamentos y las diferentes agencias han trabajado en conjunto bajo el liderazgo de la alcalde de Los Ángeles, Karen Bass, y los otros líderes de Los Ángeles. Este Centro de Coordinación de Emergencias continúa trabajando las 24 horas al día a través de la noche para ayudar y ver las necesidades de todos nuestros ciudadanos. Entre 6 y 12 pulgadas de lluvia han caído a través de la región en estos últimos días, y este río atmosférico continúa trayéndonos más lluvia y la posibilidad de más tormentas el día de hoy y mañana. Esta lluvia continúa teniendo condiciones peligrosas que incrementan las posibilidades de tener deslaves de lodo a través de las áreas de las colinas e inundaciones en toda la región. Quiero decirles que la noche pasada la ciudad y sus recursos pudieron atender más de 300 deslaves de lodo. Inspeccionaron 35 edificios que tuvieron daños. 5 edificios fueron dañados al punto que no son habitables. Aparte de la cantidad de lluvia que ha amenorado, todavía continúan las amenazas porque las colinas continúan empapadas de agua y el potencial de tener deslaves de lodo todavía continúa elevado. Nuestra alcaldesa nos ha visitado varios de estos lugares que recibieron los daños el día de ayer, y fue impresionante para ella ver la cantidad de daño y el poder que la naturaleza ha llevado a cabo. Pedimos que sigan y seguimos repitiendo: evite viajar en las colinas el día de hoy y en las laderas. Manténgase informado, manténgase alerta. Si su zona ha sido evacuada, siga la orden de evacuación. Las órdenes de evacuaciones se van a hacer públicas en la zona lafd.org en el internet para mantenerse informado de cuáles áreas pueden ser repobladas. Las áreas que han sido impactadas por incendios todavía continúan teniendo un potencial de deslaves de lodos incrementados. Y por favor le pedimos que se mantenga informado si usted vive en una de esas zonas. El día de ayer, el Departamento de Bomberos rescató a un hombre que había caído al río de Los Ángeles y fue llevado por las olas. Nuestros rescatistas pudieron llevar y rescatar a este hombre usando especialistas de rescate y un helicóptero. Queremos recordarle que el río de Los Ángeles continúa rugiente, igual como otros ríos en la región, y continúa con bastante intensidad, aunque quizás no vea que está cayendo lluvia. Por favor, manténgase alejado de cualquier río o agua que se está moviendo con rapidez. Nuestro Departamento de Bomberos ha continuado ayudando y respondiendo a las emergencias de todo el municipio, y han mantenido ayuda adicional con rescatistas especialistas en rescate acuático, voluntarios del programa de ayuda comunitaria, CERT, rescatistas de rescate urbano, equipos de mano de obra, equipo de tractor, helicópteros adicionales, el comando y control adicional, despachadores de 911 adicionales. Todos han trabajado a través de la noche y el día para estar manteniendo nuestro público seguro. Nuestros especialistas están estratégicamente puestos a través de la región para atender las diferentes emergencias que se están suscitando. Pero una vez más pedimos al público que nos ayude a mantenerse alerta y que haga su seguridad personal una prioridad. La tormenta, aunque está pasando de su parte más fuerte, no ha menorado el peligro que continúa amenazando a nuestro municipio. Por favor, no baje la guardia. Evite el viajar si es posible. Si va a salir usted, ejercite sumo cuidado cuando está cerca de agua que se está moviendo con rapidez. Por favor, amenore su velocidad cuando está manejando. Manténgase alerta de tendido eléctrico que ha caído y árboles que están cayendo. En el norte de California han habido muertes causadas por árboles que han caído. No hemos tenido muertes aquí en el sur. Los angelinos les pedimos que marquen 311 para reportar daños de la infraestructura a nuestra ciudad. El centro de llamadas 311 ha recibido más de 3,000 llamadas desde que comenzó este evento de clima. Queremos proveerles información adicional en cuanto al trabajo que su municipio ha llevado a cabo. Nuestro Departamento de Energía continúa trabajando las 24 horas al día para mantener servicio al público. Hemos tenido 7,000 clientes, ahorita tenemos 7,000 personas sin electricidad. Lo que sí puedo decirles es que ellos han trabajado para restaurar servicio a más de 54,000 personas. Las tormentas han incrementado también la posibilidad de caído del tendido eléctrico y le pedimos al público que no se acerque a ningún alambre que está colgado. Por favor, marque 911 para reportar caídos eléctricos o tendidos eléctricos. El Departamento de Obras Públicas también ha reportado que ha llevado servicio y ha trabajado a través de la noche. Han atendido más de 257 árboles que han caído, han atendido daños a las carreteras en más de 159 lugares y han destapado 875 desagües de nuestro sistema de desagüe. También queremos agradecer a todos los rescatistas, particularmente los bomberos, los policías, los alguaciles, todos los rescatistas y trabajadores esenciales que han llevado a cabo su trabajo durante esta tormenta histórica. Han mantenido a nuestro público y nuestros residentes seguros y también agradecemos al liderazgo de nuestro alcalde, Mayor Bass. Queremos pedir al público que siga manteniéndose alerta y siga apoyando la ciudad como lo han hecho, cooperando con los requisitos que hemos dado. Todos los daños que ha causado esta tormenta están siendo evaluados en este momento, pero queremos recordarles que junto, como ciudad, podemos atravesar esta tormenta y volver a la normalidad. Manténgase informado, manténgase alerta y así nos podemos apoyar mutuamente.
Thank you. Before we open it up for questions, I just wanted to acknowledge a few other folks that are with us. Osama Yunin, who's General Manager of Building and Safety, Randall Winston, Deputy Mayor of Infrastructure, as well as Brian Williams, Deputy Mayor of Public Safety. And with that, we'll open it up for any questions.
Chief,
Sure.
Your numbers that you read for the mud and debris flow, are they the same from the evening update last night?
These were the numbers that were communicated to me, so if we need to verify the ones that we just spoke about, we'll make sure that we get that out to the media. Those were the latest numbers that were shared with me.
Can you read them one more time?
Sure thing. Okay. We're talking about the fallen trees and all of that? Okay, sure thing. I'll go slow. These were the public works side of what they've been working on. 257 fallen trees and branches, 159 reports of additional potholes that street services will be addressing. This is the big one. 875 catch basins and stormwater conveyance systems were cleared.
Do you have the mudslide numbers too?
Sure thing. Let me find those for you. Okay, here they are. 307 mudslides, 35 incidents of buildings that require inspection due to mudslides and slope failures. 5 total buildings have been red tagged, which means no entry for the occupants. 7 buildings have been yellow tagged, which means the occupants are allowed to go in to collect their possessions only, and then they're supposed to exit.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be providing a written update with the most updated numbers within an hour, right, Colin?
One more question. Given what the National Weather Service is saying, that just a small amount of rain could impact these compromised hillsides already, what is being done to continually evaluate and monitor these hillsides? You were out there yesterday, and it looks like the ground is still moving And those areas, let's say the Baldwin Hills area, has not been evacuated, none of those homes. So what's being done to continue to monitor and evaluate those areas?
Right. So I can speak at the high level, and if we've got our other subject matter experts, please jump in from the general manager's side. From the first responders, of course, we will respond if there's an issue. The lean forward posture is we utilize our field resources to continue to utilize windshield surveys. They drive their districts. They can report back through our Department Operations Center, which then we can communicate with our Emergency Operations Center to get the subject matter experts on scene. That's how we can be a force multiplier with our current resources. From the other city resources, we've already, the good news is taken that stance of, yes, we're still in response, but with that, now we have to start thinking about the recovery. But those go hand in hand. So as we have our city inspectors going around and looking from the damage assessment, they can look at it from that subject matter expertise lens, then to say, this looks worse than it did yesterday, and then we can then make that initial response of, is this some type of a posture that we need to take to put out an evacuation warning or order. So that's the high level side of things. Anybody want to take a?
Let me just add in.
Yes, ma'am.
That was actually why I raised the concern about renters, because when we were in the Baldwin Hills area, 2 individuals did need to evacuate, but they needed to they needed assistance from the landlord. And so we're waiting to see if that happens. The other homeowner that we visited, she had a place to go. So there wasn't a need to issue an evacuation order like there was in the Latuna Canyon area, but for those individuals that were in that situation, they were finding other places to stay.
Mayor, if I may, this is your second major weather event, Hurricane Hillary or Tropical Storm.
Just second?
Second, yeah, just 2 in a part of California that's really known for weather. What's your takeaway? What have you learned?
Well, I mean, I think the good news is the way everybody just came together quickly. And knowing that we have all of the expertise here, all of the leadership that's standing behind me, the way people went into action. And then, of course, I was also very pleased to know that our whole of government approach that we are utilizing around the unhoused, where we bring together the city, the county, the state, and the federal government, also went into action. So to hear from our federal leaders, the president, the vice president, the governor, to say that we're all ready to assist Los Angeles with whatever is needed. And then when we were out there yesterday and meeting with people who were impacted, the way they were managing, but the way all of their neighbors came to assist them as well. So what I learned is that Los Angeles can handle very big challenges, and if we stick together, we will come out so far ahead.
I'm not sure who the best person is for this question, but can someone elaborate on what LA is doing to capture and store the rain that's coming down?
Well, I think we have somebody here to do that.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, Marty Adams, LA Department of Water and Power. One of the things that we do need is more local water supply. And so in conjunction with LA County Public Works, we operate a number of spreading grounds that do capture storm water. There's a lot more water coming down, obviously, than those can handle. But I think yesterday they reported they had captured well over a billion gallons of water, which will all be contributing to the groundwater locally and future drinking water supply in Los Angeles.
I got one for DWP. There's one
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aura Garcia, President of the Board of Public Works, and we too at Sanitation are capturing water. All 3 plants are in full function. We have fully stored crews working overnight and making sure that we're capturing water, cleaning water, and making sure that all of our basins are clear so that there isn't any flooding in the streets. So I just want to say overall, sanitation has been working 24 hours the past 3 days, and we are truly supporting them along with Department of Water and Power.
Public Works question, just along those lines when it comes to drainage and clearing. Can you talk about the pre-storm preps a little bit more? We're hearing from some neighbors in some neighborhoods, particularly Sherman Oaks, saying that they're dealing with 3 feet of water due to backed up drainage, and they feel it's something that could have been addressed before, and they seem to think that this is something that was not adequately prepared for?
Thank you for that question. Sanitation proactively does storm drain, draining from the storm drain. Sorry about that. And we have been doing it. Please have them call 311 as we will make sure that we get to them. But I have to say that sanitation's proactively driving through the city, making sure that that type of incident does not happen. So please just have 311 is the best place that they can call at this time.
Do they have any recourse afterwards on the back end? For example, after they call 311 and things are cleared, but they've got this big mess in their homes?
For mess in their homes, let us know as well so that we can help. But we do, Public Works only works on the public right-of-way area, but we'll make sure to help any neighbor that we need to.
Mayor, you mentioned that you spoke with the president and the vice president, and you said you surely will be calling the president. What will you be calling the president about?
Well, a couple of things. I actually didn't speak to the vice president. She did reach out, but I did speak with President Biden. And I think that there's a couple of things. One thing that I said to him when I was on the phone with him is we need assistance from FEMA. When the chief and I were out talking to homeowners yesterday, they are concerned that they're not going to qualify for FEMA because not enough homes were damaged. Of course, we don't have an assessment now as to how many homes were damaged, but I specifically mentioned FEMA. When I call back today, I'm going to mention our need for housing vouchers. You might have known that there was a tiny home village that was essentially flooded out, and we had to immediately evacuate everybody that wanted to leave, and we were able to place them in a shelter for now. So what we would like to do would be to get housing vouchers. So in a time of an emergency, it's an opportunity for us to ask for that, and be sure that I'm preparing that ask right now.